Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I cut across, so now I can start to weld these up. And I know that I want you to go to there and you to go to there. And see, it starts to do it, and then I can just use this to kind of even it out a little bit manually. That's fine. Perfecto. Let's move all this over a little bit. No, I actually kind of like that, so I'm going to keep that. I'm just going to balance that just a little bit. Perfect. All right. So we got a nice weird shape going on, and we can solve all this up in a moment. Let's come back here though, because if you notice when we went earlier, it looks like there's a little bit of weirdness going here, so I'm going to do it connect in the center. Go to my reverse and just move them just a little bit. And if I rotate just a little bit, we kind of get a slightly better kind of straight bend in it. A little bit of a bend, and it looks really nice. Okay, so I'm looking at the concept art from the side here, and I do notice that this edge curves. It's like a nice little curve to it here. So what we can do is actually double click on this line. It selects the whole loop, and then I can chamfer. And if we chamfer just a little bit, not even a whole lot, maybe 0.5. It adds just that little bit to it to make it really kind of curve out a lot better. And I'm going to do the same thing here, even though it doesn't quite look like it, just so that for consistency's sake and because it will make the shape a lot nicer. There we are. Okay. Let's go to face mode, and we'll delete the face that's going to be interior. Very good. And now let's give this a name. So this is going to be a support bar. I'm going to call this handlebar support bar. There we are. Okay, and we will give him. I'm going to give him this second color because I know I'm going to make the first color for the actual box that it's going to connect into. Looking good, looking good. And I'm going to go to editable poly, effect pivot only. I'm going to center his pivot to the world so that now when I give him the symmetry, press Y, enter, I say about the Z axis. Flip, there we go. Very nice. So now we have both sides of it at the same time to look at. So let's go back and let's finish up closing up the hole here. One nice trick is if you just start with the anything you can get away with, like a square like this. So there you go, we got a quad right there to finish it off. What you can do actually is just go straight across and then fill in horizontally. So if I go as such, if I go straight across, boom. Then this also works, boom, and this works, and this works, and there you go. Now you end up with this, but you can do this way. Now this is technically 1, 2, 3, 4, there you go, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, yep, so there you go, there's a quad. Bridge. Love my bridge tool. This used to be a lot harder back in the day. Now this is Max 2014, and I've been using Max since Max 6. I think it was at 9 that they switched to 2009. So it tells you how long I've been using Max. All right, let's save that, and let's do render. Yep, those look very nice. And let's make it smooth. All right. Any questions, guys, so far? Enjoying? Everything's looking good? Making sense? Okay. All right, so let's continue. We got these bars made, so now we need to make the this crossbar, the big thick bar at the end, and then the cylindrical piece that comes up and over. The cylindrical piece is actually going to be the easiest part, so we can go ahead and start with that if you guys want to see that. Start there. I'm going to do a cylinder from above. Make a cylinder. Get any size to start with. I just need to get it up and on the board. There we are. Okay. Now I'm going to work with it to make the radius such that it's approximately the right size. There we go. And you'll notice that in the top view, it's in the correct place here, but in the front view, it's not in the correct place, and the correct place actually shows over here. So that's one of those things that we have to kind of just pick one and make it and see what works best, and then we can go back later and say, oh, I want to adjust it because it's more physically accurate or it works better here. Let's take a look at the concept art and see about how far in it is on the bar that we're going to create. So according to the edge, yeah, the front view appears to be more correct. So we're going to go with that. Alright, so I'll bring it down so it's actually kind of physically sitting in where the bar is going to be eventually. There we are. Alright, so there's two ways we can do this. The modeling way, oh, that looks wrong. That looks way off. See if we bring this all the way down. Oh yeah, that's correct. Okay. If we bring this, there's two ways we can do this. One way is we just straight flat out model and then, around and all that. Or we can create a spline and extrude along a spline, and you can usually get a better curve out of it. I think that's what we're going to do. Alright, so if I go to editable poly, well, let's add an editable poly so we can change it if we want to. And I'm going to select all but the bottom face. Okay, so as you can see. And delete. I just have one face, and it's technically inverted to what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it. I can find the button, flip, there it is. Okay. So now he is flipped. And now I'm going to draw a line, which will be a path for this to follow. Okay? So we're going to leave him alone for a second. I'll come to Shapes, Line. Draw a line, I'm going to start there. Come up to about here, go to about the center of this, which is there. And then I'm just going to click somewhere. So now what I'm going to do is take this point and make sure it goes all the way to 0 on the X. And this guy is good where he is at. And now we need to make the curve out of these 2 points. Okay, so let's zoom in. So I'm going to turn this into a Bezier corner. And the same thing for you. Now what a Bezier corner allows you to do is take these handles and adjust the curvature by moving the handles. So if I adjust the curvature a little bit this way, but it remains rigid on the other side, and that's what we want. So I take these handles and move them around a bit. I can create the curve that I'm looking for out of that. So it looks pretty good. I'm going to make it a little more relaxed of a curve. There we are. Excellent, excellent. Okay. So now I just need to move this so that it is centered on our cylinder as far as the center. There we go, like that. Great. Now if we take the cylinder and we go to face mode and select the only face, one of our options here is to extrude along spline. So I'm going to pick that. Our options come up here. We're going to leave our options mostly alone for the moment, except right here we're going to say pick spline. I'm going to say this is the spline I want you to use. And look at that. Look at all the modeling that it did for us in one click, which is fantastic. Now all I'm going to do basically is increase the segments a little bit because I want to have a nice corner here. So the corner is all I'm concerned about. I want to have straight, and a couple of pieces in the middle. So I keep clicking until I see kind of what I'm looking for is something like that. I can clean it up a little bit. Looks good, so say okay. It doesn't really matter how many edges are in here because I can just remove them, which is what we're going to do. So if I go to edges, I'm going to select that, select that, select that, and that, and we're going to say remove. There we go. So we remove those because we don't need them. And these. Yeah, there we go. So that's pretty good. So we can adjust it to our liking. Down just a little bit. And what I think I'm going to do is actually select this and remove this guy too. Oh no, we can't. I thought I could. There we go. A little bit of eyeballing to make that curvature work. And oh, I got a rogue point there. Put you back in line, sir. And there we are. Good. Okay. So we made that shape really easily. And I'm going to just remove the excess edges. We don't need all that. Why did it? Oh. There we go. I'm going to keep that one for looks. Okay. So we'll delete the end cap because he's going to mirror, and the bottom's already deleted, so we're good there. Let's give it our colorization. Now we know that the piece this is going to connect into is going to be the first one, so we're going to make it the second color. And let's add our symmetry, this one. Symmetry, let's mirror from center, flip. There we are. Very nice. Okay, so let's call this handlebar. This is going to be our actual handle. There we go. Very nice. So we have our two pieces there. So let's save. We're going to take a quick break here, guys, but first let's take a look at our how we're coming along. So here's all the pieces together so far. So we've created the trigger handle, the little actual trigger that will go in, then a little pivot piece at the bottom. We got our handlebars coming in. Next, we're going to create the bar that goes across, and we have our center spindle part there and the 3 spokes. And those are all connected, so we can rotate that and animate that any way we like. So that looks really nice. Let's look at it from a couple of different angles. Let's see here if I zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, kind of down the barrel of the gun. But it doesn't look as impressive because, it's cooler to see it from a distance. So there we go. All these pieces are coming into play really nicely. It's looking pretty good. I love doing this stuff. It's so much fun. So I hope you guys are enjoying it just as much as I am. It's really awesome. Got a couple of rendering artifacts there, and those are from Max. Once we throw it into Engine like Unity, it'll look really awesome. We can do that when we come back. We can make sure that we start testing it inside of Unity. So let's do that. So I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back with you guys. I'll leave this up on the screen so you guys can see it. And yeah, let me know what you think so far. And we will be back in just a few minutes to continue. Alright guys, I'm back. Thank you for bearing with me there for a moment. And let's continue, shall we? More awesome things to create. So let's get rid of our rotation for the moment. We're just working with the handlebar, get rid of our trigger as well. Alright, so we need to make the bar that this is going to connect to. And let me bring up my concept art. Yes, there we are. Okay, so this is the bar that we were talking about earlier that has the kind of T shape to it. And looking at it from both sides, it's pretty simple. It does have a curve to it from the side, so we have to be careful of that. Okay. There we are. I'm going to make sure I can see what you guys are seeing as well. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and create that. So probably start with a plane on that one. So let's go plane. And we're going to work on this from side view to begin with. So you can create this curvature, make sure everything works out, and then we can extrude for the rest of it. There we are. And I'll move this all the way to the end, to where it's supposed to sit, which is right about there. You can see it looks really far on this image, but it works here. So we're kind of working with both, and we'll make the best of it. All right. Okay. No worries turning this into an editable poly. That's fine. And we're going to chamfer. Not nearly that much. Somewhere in that range. And what I'd love to do actually is to be able to chamfer this more precisely. So what we're going to do is a little bit of a different methodology here. I'm going to select all the edges, zoom in a bit, and actually bring myself all the way across to, say, here. And now, selecting edge mode, I'm going to select this edge here. But from this view, if I chamfer now, again, not nearly that much, maybe somewhere in that range. Now I have this option here of the number of iterations. So if I turn that up, you can see how I start to get my curve in there. So I'm going to do 4 iterations because that'll give me a nice curve with a center point to the curve. I like that a lot. And let's kind of solve that. So something like that. There we are. So like that works out nicely. There we are. Okay. Very good. If you look at our image here, and I'm looking at it off screen, it actually stops here and comes straight down and then cuts across. And this piece actually also looks like it connects into another piece. Yeah, it connects into another piece and continues. So we'll build it one stage at a time. All right, so starting from here. Oops. There we are. I have to accept that. Okay, so starting from here, I'm going to bring that down to the appropriate point. There it is. We notice it comes down to right there. Excellent. And we will connect to a connected one. You'll see this detail actually stops here. So now if I take just this edge, you can see I can bring this all the way back to here. So this is the base of something where this cylindrical, I'm assuming this is like a power center kind of thing, sits in the middle. So that's quite interesting. So we'll take this across to 0, because again, we're going to be mirroring all of this. Now all of this needs to go across to 0 as well. So let's take this, this, and this across. Okay, that's interesting. What that just... There we are. Okay, excellent. So that's all working out quite nicely. Now there is a hole in the concept art here. And in the hole we're going to do with a normal map later on, so we're not going to worry about that right now. Alright, so select these faces, or edges rather, and get out of the way. I'm going to bring those over as well. Shift and drag. There we are. vertices all the way across. There we go. Now we have a complete shape, and the bottom we're not going to worry about because it's going to be covered up. Complete shape. Let's go ahead and add our symmetry, S1. And we want the symmetry mirror to be centered on the x-axis, so that now when I mirror about it, it completes the shape. Let's give it a name. And I'm not quite sure what to call this because it's sort of in the handlebar, but let's call it handlebar heavy. So this is the heavy, thick part of the metal. Alright, so. And since we gave the other one that color, we'll give this one this color, so that they stand out from one another. Excellent. That's looking quite nice. Looking at the concept art, making sure it's all fitting. We'll bring it over here to show you guys. So from the back side, this back side of it is completely flat, and here it has that front curvature to it, which we have completed here. Front curvature, and the back side is completely flat. And there's some details in here, but those details will be handled in texturing, so we're not going to worry about those right this second. So this goes across, so I think the next thing we can create is this cylinder piece that will bring us up to here, and then we can create this piece. Okay? So there we are. Okay, perfect. So now that this piece exists, we have a good basis for where this cylinder mechanism is going to go. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this, it's like the power coil, you know? There we go, power coil. This is essentially a series of cylinders. So let's go ahead and create a cylinder from the front view, of course. I'm just going to create a cylinder for now. There we are. Let's move them back. Sounds good. So we're going to have it back there. I'm noticing that my concept art is not centered. I will fix that momentarily. So bring him up a bit, and I'm going to hide the rest of the handlebar stuff for now, because I'm just working with this center coil. Let me correct the reference again. Let's go to top reference. Yeah, he's not centered on the x-axis. There he is. Much nicer. Okay. Back to our power coil. So first we have two pieces to the power coil, if I bring this in. The first piece, which maybe you can see here better, is so with this holding mechanism, these two ends of pieces, and then we have the center part, which is where all the power comes from. And you can see it quite well in here. So you have the two sides and then this part of the center. So it's going to be essentially two cylinders, really, if you think about it. All right. Let's put that back. All right, so let's move him all the way to where it originates, right about there. And what I'm going to do is just extend the height all the way to the end. There we are. Okay. Now it's hard to see, you can't see at all actually the size of it there, so we have to rely on the size of it over here. So let's give it a dark color and bring the opacity way down again. And it looks like it only goes to about here, but the center of the cylinder is above ground, so to speak. It's not at the bottom. So we need to take that into account. So the center of the cylinder is about that size, so something like that. Excellent. And now you can see the power, the actual coils go quite far above that, so that's quite all right. Perfect. There we are. Let's bring you back up, sir. There you are. So now, selecting this. Again, we're going to add edit poly for cylinders because we can adjust the size later on very easily. I'm going to delete the two end caps because we're never going to see them or need them. And there's no real reason for it to necessarily stop in the middle, but I'm going to try and model it all out of one piece. So let's do one connection, two connections. Let's do a slide. Try to find the two ends. About that. Pinch the two ends. Maybe from the top would be better. So using these two features here, I can slide and scale out the two edges of this to get to the ends. But I can see more detail in the top here that this does need to be several pieces. So we will do so appropriately. So what I'm looking to get to is the very ends of where this thing is going to scroll the end and then make another piece that's going to sit right there. So if I slide this down, that bottom one is correct, but now the top one's not. So it's just a balance between the two. Okay, that looks correct. Now, if I look at this, it still looks off. Why does my top reference still look off? Okay, if I move the top reference around, yeah. Sorry about that. Still looks quite off. Well, we'll work with it, right? Roll with the punches. So, the cylinder definitely needs to be wider. So this is why we did the edit poly. So I can go back down and say yes. Go back down and I can adjust the radius of this. Just adjust the radius until it's correct, which is around there. Now if I go back up, now I still have my adjustments I made without having to do extra cuts, which is awesome. So that's looking quite nice. Quite nice indeed. All right, now I'm going to take the center. I should be able to bevel this down. Local normals, yes. There we are. That's the design I'm looking for. Okay. And I still think it needs to be a little bit bigger. Just a little bit bigger. So let's go back down and increase the radius one more time. Something like that. Okay. Now to make the coils themselves, we're gonna have to do that separately in a moment. I'm gonna move this a little bit to there. Move this a little bit to here. There we are. Excellent. And well, that looks pretty good. Something like that. Now the important piece is we're going to need to see the handlebar in order to see how much of this is actually going underground, so to speak. And it looks like it's almost exactly half of it, which is quite cool. So we can save ourselves some effort by deleting the bottom half of this when we're all done. And let's take a look at it from our camera there. Yeah, we can see here, if I zoom in a bit for you, we can see there where it's sitting. So now we're going to make the coils that fit along there. Okay. Excellent. So that's all set. So again, we're going to use our trick to create our coils quite easily. So we select all this and detach a copy clones and post make coils. Oops. Coils, not colas. Okay. So selecting that object, we need to, from the top view, let's hide everything else. So we'll turn off the handlebar again. So I need to be able to see how many we have here. Looks like we have 11 total, so let's take a look and see what we can do with that. That works, but it's a little uneven. Kind of like 12 a little bit better. Just a little bit better. So we're going to go with that. Click OK. Now I'm going to chamfer all of this selection. So notice if I do that, I get the spaces in between the coils. Something like that. They're almost the size of the coils, but they're just a little bit smaller. So that works quite well. Now if I select just one edge in each of what will be the coils, and do a ring and turn my selection into polygons, you start to see where we're going here. So we're going to extrude based upon local normals and by just a little bit. These coils actually go out quite far in the concept art, but I don't want them to go too far here, so I'm going to be a little bit more realistic. So we're going to go for that. I think that looks quite nice. I do think they look a little thick, so we're going to add a little bit of extra information into these. So I selected all of these edges. Bear with me here for a second. We're going to select all these edges, and we're going to chamfer the edges to make them a little bit more rounded off. This will help to make them appear a bit smaller and also give them a lot more interesting of an angle in order to catch light. So let's do that. So we should be able to loop that and do a chamfer. And you see now they do look a lot more ring-like, a lot more coil-like, which is quite good. Excellent. Now, someone was mentioning earlier, yes, we're going to be doing some high poly work to this. So technically what I would do is start here and then add another edit poly. And I don't know if you know this, but you can actually name these. So I rename it, say high poly. So now starting with this, I could turn on and off the changes I make for my high poly. So for example, if I take my edges here, and what I want to do is, select all of these internal edges, because then we can do a ring. We'll do one piece here, I'll show you the process, but we won't bother doing it fully here because it takes a lot of time. So we'll do 2, go pinch all the way out. Unless you guys want to see me do high poly work for ages and ages. Something like that is quite good. And now, yeah, we're going to need all of these. Oh, sorry, let me start again. Okay. And reverse. You get both sides of every single one. So where it would be helpful to be able to create one and then duplicate it if you had the right spacing in mind already. Alright, so let's ring those, and we'll do a connect on those. I don't want those to be quite as tight because I do want a little bit of smoothing going on. So we'll do like that, something like that. And now, if you keep that and you add Turbo Smooth, as someone mentioned, Turbo Smooth, 3 iterations, nice align. Now you start to see the coil shape come into play. And what you can easily do here is if you take this shape and you just turn these 2 things off, you have your low poly again. So that'll be our example. So we'll call this power coil, the actual coils themselves. Okay. So then we go back down to this, which is the power coil main. There we are. But now remember, we said we have to go back and make sure that the at the halfway point it's cut off because we're not going to see it. So for example, if I unhide all the handlebar stuff, you'll notice halfway it goes underneath, so we're going to have to cut that off because we won't need it, so we shouldn't have all this excess space in there. It even looks like from the top here, it's really hard to tell from the drawing, but it looks like there is a like a cutout to this. This whole thing sits in like a divot, which would be pretty neat because then we could have more of the bottom sides of these coils. That would be a lot better, I think. So let's work on that really quickly because I think that's a lot more interesting of a design aesthetic. So we can do 2, there we go. Scale it out. So this top one doesn't go quite so far. The bottom one does. Something like that. I'm just going to do this quickly for you guys so that we're not sitting around doing this all the time. But I can show you kind of how I would do this, you know. Take this shape. So it looks like it bends upward from this corner to something like that. That looks really good. Yeah, and this corner, I think I just need a chamfer this corner. There we are. Okay. It's coming along really nicely, guys. We're getting there pretty quickly, actually, considering how fast I'm trying to do this for you all. Okay, let's scale that down. I'm still getting used to talking quite a bit for you guys, you know. I'm used to just sitting and doing my work and then not really explaining what I'm doing per se. But now sort of explaining it is good because it forces me to think through it, make sure that I'm not making mistakes, and then I get to teach people at the same time, which I love. I love sharing what I know, you know. Okay, so that's quite good. So let's bring this guy down. It looks like it's pretty thick. Something like that. Okay, and we'll just delete this interface that we're not going to need. Now that looks a lot better. That looks like it's got some interesting detail to it. A little bit more depth to it. Why not? It's a 3D object, right? It should have depth. Okay, so that's going quite well. We got that bar, and we got the center piece there. So now we're going to start working towards the back of the gun. And now here's where the pieces get really complex and really interesting. So I'm going to look carefully at where we're going with these pieces. And we're going to start to build up to that, okay? So I'm thinking our next piece is actually going to be one of the front pieces. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. I think our next piece here is going to be this piece here. If you look at it from the front and back, from the back it's a whole lot more detailed, so we're going to have to build it up one piece at a time. Front here it's very flat and it lines up with this quite well, but it does have an angle, a straight down angle, and then it's sort of like a hexagon or a pentagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah. And then we have these insets cut into it. So this line we'll do as normal map, maybe this line as well, but this one is way too thick, so that's going to have to be modeled. And these we can do with normal maps as well. Then when you look at the back here, it gets really complex in here. It's got some crazy shapes in the back here. So it looks like from the back here that this is, can't quite tell, is that flat? There we are. So that down to there is flat. That down to there is flat. And but this curves up. Okay, so this is really complex. So from this point to this point is straight, but then it curves inward, even though it doesn't look like it here, to that point. And this curves back and back, and then this is flat again finally. So this is a complex shape. This is going to be a challenge, so definitely I'm up for it. That sounds cool. Let's go ahead and check. Checking my messages really quickly. Make sure nobody needs me. Okay, excellent. Now, so let's go ahead and get started on this. We'll move this off, and that's what we're going to work on, okay? And make sure I can see it. Excellent. So I'm not sure what we call this, but I'm going to call this it's like a front piece. It's a front, this is what would house the mechanics for the rotation. So I'm going to call this, rotation mechanics or something like that, like some kind of area that would happen. So we'll add this actually to the rotation area. And it's more the main body of the gun. Yeah, let's add a main body. Main body of the gun. Now the neat thing is I can create a sub layer to this. So rotation mech. And that's where we're going to work. So we're going to do this definitely with a plane, so we can really plan this out pretty well. So easy. Okay. Starting from the front, actually. We have to plan this out from the front. All right. Let's just create a plane for now. I'm going to hide pretty much everything else. Rotation, definitely. Rotation trigger is hidden. Why did the power coils? Hide this. Okay, excellent. We're gonna definitely use our trick here of applying material and then lowering the opacity down, way down. There we are. So essentially just gonna work with the points. His faces. There we go. Now this will be difficult because there's a lot of stuff in the way on the concept art, so I have to keep looking over here and kind of following along. So right away I know I want these 2 points to be mirror points, and these 2 points to be the furthest out. Okay, so now it scales upward, so let's go ahead and chamfer you. So you go to here, and you go to here. Okay, that's good, and then the rest of this is just flat. Perfect, I like it. Let's go down here too, chamfer. Okay, you come up to here. Now, according to my image here, look carefully at the back image as well. This is going to come in and then down, and then in and then down, all kinds of times here. So I'm looking carefully at where I'm at on my image in all directions. So they come down to about there, and then I come inwards. Come down to there, then come inwards, and okay, that bottom piece is a separate piece. So this is actually pretty correct to what we're going to end up with, and then this bottom piece is another piece, and that's another piece as well. So that's fine for now. It's when we go to the side view that we get all kinds of craziness. All right, so let's grab our edges, select all except for this first one, and scale backwards. And I'm going to come all the way to here. Now we're in the side view. So everything is fine until we reach this point. Let's take a look. Make sure I'm correct in that statement. Yes. We're still going to go through and create this inset, but as far as the overall shape, we're fine until we get here. So now what we need to do is we need to make sure that we have enough supporting geometry. So let's add that in there. Move up and come down right there. Perfect. And we're going to need a point here to come out to here and a point there. So let's just go ahead and add another one while we're at it. Another point there. Perfect. Did I screw that up already? No. We're fine. We're fine. So that's good right there. Excellent. So start with these three out to here. There we are. Move these to here. And that's good right there. So we just need to take this guy and move all the way to the end. And this is going to have to, we're going to have to go up there. But that's good right there. Let's look at our shape overall now. Okay. So this back part is very tricky. So we're going to have to work this out. But I think we've got a good shape going on here. So we're in good shape, guys. Let's weld this up. Okay, very good. Now it appears, oh, we got some new viewers, welcome. It appears that this shape flattens out, but it does curve back up. So we have the curve back up. We have the flatten out part. And I think we're in business. Okay. So bring this guy back. I'll weld him up. And we know that this is going to go to 0. So if I can select it. There we go. He goes to 0. Great. Okay. So let's start giving everybody a home. There we go. 1, 2, 3. You're all set to 0. Now this guy cannot go straight to 0. He's got to make a stop in the middle, and I'll show you why in a second. He can go to 0. This guy needs to stop in the middle because he needs to line up with this guy. So on the x-axis, I'm going to copy that value again using that nice little trick. And I'm going to paste those values here. There we are. We do end up with some triangles, but we can work with that. It's okay. It's okay. It'll all be triangles eventually anyway. Let's bring this up. Target weld. There we are. Excellent. Okay. Same thing across here. Now what we might want to do is start planning for the future to make sure that this is going to line up. So if we take that same value, same x value, and make a little stop along the way for ourselves. I'll show you we're going to have to do some cutting there to make that work, but that's okay. You can bring those guys all the way over. Quite nice. Alright, so now we can cut ourselves, not cut ourselves, we can cut, there's a line up there. No. I know what it's complaining about. Being stupid. Because I don't have actual geometry in there, I need to cut across to the actual geometry. They're lined up, but they're so close together that it doesn't like it. So until we do that, yeah. We still have that on our clipboard though, so we can easily clean that up. Not a problem. Are the image planes and oh, thank you. Yes, yes, we have our image plane so that we know what we're working from. I'll show you in just a second. So we'll do that. There we go. Now we're all cleaned up. Let's bring back our opacity all the way up so we can see what we're going with. That looks really nice. Front's good. Okay, I'm going to clean these up a little bit using the z-axis to go there. Paste that, make sure that they are equidistant. Copy that. Thank you, Polar. I appreciate the appreciate very much the hopes I'm having a good weekend. I am. I'm having a great weekend. I got to grill out today, and I'm doing 3D modeling, so I'm a happy camper. Let's go ahead and cut this across. Why don't you like me? There we go. Okay. And I'm going to take the x-axis there and put the same one there. There we are. Now we can cut. We should be able to cut our way all the way up, but you can snap down that. Perfect. Okay. So the inside is clear, so we can mirror across, no problem. Oh, indeed, yeah. This is my favorite thing to do. Shape looks great, so let's go ahead and mirror it across. Let's give it a name. Again, this is under our rotation mechanics, so rotation mechanics. We'll call it A. And again, I want to give everything in black wireframe. I find it easier to see when it's not selected. It has a good piece there, so let's give ourselves our symmetry. And I will center the symmetry to the world. Flip, again, nope, turn it off slice. Hey, minimize. There we are. Okay, so there's our central piece. It's a big, honking, thick piece of machinery, but that's okay. that's just what it is. Stop that. And let's give ourselves some good smoothing. Okay. Now we're almost done with this piece, but not quite. We need to make the cut into it. So again, let's bring over our, Polar, you were asking about the images. Yes, so we have our orthographics here. So I've got a left side, a top, a front, and a back. So we have those to work off of, and earlier we determined roughly how big it would be to hold it, and we determined a size ratio based upon physical dimensions. Then we scaled our reference images down to fit those physical dimensions so that they would match up with our object. And let me show you what we have so far. We can go ahead and unhide all of our pieces. So unhide the power core, the rotation, the trigger, and select the camera. And now if we do a render. So here's the pieces we have so far. So we started off with the cylindrical mechanism there that would spin, and we made one spoke and we copied 2 other spokes. We've now made the bars you can hold on to, the thick heavy part at the bottom, so now we're creating the mechanics at the bottom that would kind of drive the spin, and then we have the trigger mechanism at the back. So we really just have to kind of fill in the rest of the boxes that are the kind of mechanics of where the power source would come up. There's like a battery on the back that we'll work on. So we're getting there quite quickly. All right. So let's do that, and we will hide all of our extra pieces. Power cable, handlebar. Okay. So we have this piece here, and we need to make a cut into it. So that's where I was at. Let me show you the concept art here. So you'll notice there's a slit in it here that goes along almost to the end. We're not going to worry about this slit or these on the bottom because those are small enough we can get away with normal maps. But this big one violates what I call the quarter rule. So give me just a second. Thank you. Okay. So what I refer to as the quarter rule is any detail that would be an extrusion or like a hole that it would be larger than a quarter. You know, think like a quarter you flip or put into a payphone. Anything larger than that you really should model, in my opinion, because that's big enough that a normal map is not really going to push it the way it should be pushed, and it needs to be physical. Anything smaller than that, you can get away with a normal map in most cases. Now there may be instances where that's incorrect. If you have a model that's designed to be super high poly, then hey, that's great, go for it. If it's a presentation piece, certainly. But I have to take into account that, let me bring up my camera here so I can see, that based upon the entire screen you're looking at now, these characters are going to be maybe this big on screen. So the gun he's holding is going to be maybe this big. So there's no reason to model all these tiny little things and push the poly count really high when the detail can be made using a normal map. So you always have to take into account what you're creating based upon how it's going to be used and how it's going to be seen in the end. Levels are just like movie sets, I say. If you're never going to see it, you don't build it. Now, that not to say that I'm definitely an advocate of what I call bottoms of the feet. So when you create a character, always have something on the bottoms of their feet. That's the one thing most people forget. And what's going to happen the first time that here's your character and my character and I have bottoms of the feet covered and you don't, just as an example, and we give it to the client and they decide that they're going to have the character fall down and their feet are looking right at camera. So you have to be prepared for that. But we understand how it's working, how we're going to use it, so we're going with that. So just a quick little tip, something that I've picked up along the years, so it's awesome. I love it. All right, so we're going to create this. It shouldn't be a problem. Here we go. Sorry, let me make sure I can see what I'm doing. There, okay. Cool, so we have our symmetry. We're going to hide that for a second, and I'm going to make this semi-transparent, come from the side. And we see that this comes almost all the way to the edge. So what we can do is we're going to need to cut into this just a little bit. So if I look at this, let's start with just what we need, and we can work our way outwards. So I'm going to make a connection. There we are. I'm going to say how big is this indent? It's going to be about that big. That looks good. So I'm going to take this and connect it up. I'm going to need to make a cut along this. Let's see where I can solve that. The first thing I always do is look is where is it going to be solved to. That can be solved around the corner a little bit, but it's going to make a mess. Okay. And it looks like this detail comes really close to the edge here. It technically comes all the way into here, but that's going to cut this line, which is going to be a little messy. So what we could do is actually take this line and bend it. So we bend it to the right angle. Now if we just follow through with that bend, since these are flat, as far as the dimension, they don't change the shape by bending it. Those can line up, and now we can use that. We can use that bend to our advantage. All right, so let's do that. And we could just do this as well, but trying to keep it as quad friendly as I can, especially on that edge where I know there's going to be a lot of detail needed. Okay, now using my edge mode, I'm going to switch to edge only. So now as I move this vertex, it's only going to move along the edges. I'm going to try just to get it as closely lined up as I can to that other one. Had a comment? Okay. Welcome to all the new viewers. You guys are just joining us. We're building a Gatling gun, so very cool. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. And thank you for joining us this evening. All right. So here we've got this point coming to the end here, so we need to solve it around the corner. Now, this is not the best because it's going to go around the corner. We just create a smaller triangle. So what we're going to do is actually solve it. Yep, I know. We're going to solve it by just merging it up. So we're going to merge it up here and merge it up there. And yeah, you know what? The hell with it. We'll just no. We'll just merge it all the way up. There we go. So as long as he's there to support this front face, here we should be okay left and right, so I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, so I'm going to delete this face. I'm going to take this face and extrude. No, not 10 and not that direction. There we are. Now it does create this face, so we have to make sure we delete that. And what we're going to do is get this X value and copy it and go to the face and then paste it. Oh, we're going to turn off edge mode so we can move the whole thing without getting that crazy issue. Now in vertex mode, we'll select these. Whoa. Thank you. Weld and make sure that they are welded with their partners. Good. And should be good. Oh, you know what? That looks terrible because of that. It's way too close. Okay. Let's back up a bit, guys. We're going to make a better solution. Make a better solution. All right. It's way too close to that edge for my liking, so we need to give it a little bit of space because it cannot go right to the edge. It just looks terrible and nothing is physically built like that, you know? Okay. Make that a little messier to make this a little cleaner. Okay. Oh wow, look, that's basically right where we needed it. That's nice and convenient. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Just gonna take these two and connect them up. There we are. Alright, now we can go ahead and make this. So if we extrude, again, not that direction and not that much. Okay. Delete you, and we should still have the same value on our clipboard. Oh, yeah. There we are. Okay, that's much nicer. That's much nicer. Now I need to do a little bit of solving, so let's do this. Ring. Connect, and again, that's pretty good. And we'll connect up there. Perfect. Okay. Looking good, looking good. So let's go back to our symmetry. And now you can see we have our detail modeled in there. And if I bring this over and we can compare, let me, just for simplicity, let's render from the same angle. And bring that over. So there we go. So we have this cut in there all the way back as close as we can without it looking weird. And all the other things like this and all that we're going to do with normal maps because it's a lot easier to do that and it looks better. So bring that over. There we are. Okay, welcome to everybody. I see the view count is fluctuating, so I'm assuming new people are coming in. So welcome. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to stop and explain. Okay, so that piece is complete, and that's our rotation mechanics. So let's take a look from the side view. What I need to make sure is, I think we went a little far with this, yeah. So I bring all this back a little bit. It just needs to line up more like that. I happened to notice that when we took one of the preview shots, when we unhid everything else, so like the rotation. See, that needs to line up right with the rotation, which it does now, which is great. There we go, okay. And we will the handlebars, see all that lines up. Perfect. So that's looking really nice. Starting to get what looks like a gun, huh? Let's do a little render there. Sweet, yeah. So now all we have is basically the rear part of it, guys, where the trigger connects into what I'm assuming is some sort of an ammo dispensing mechanism there where it goes through the coil and powers the end. And it has a battery on the back that kind of slides in. So that's all we really got left to this. Okay, so let's take care of that. So continue with the body mechanic pieces here. Okay, let's take a look at our reference again. So we've just completed this piece. Next up should really be this long piece here. And then we can create the battery on the back, this bottom bar piece here. Some of these pieces are quite complex, and then we have this piece and all of these complex pieces as they come together. Pardon me. So I think this piece should be next so that we can have a center reference for that. So that's what we're going to go for. Pardon me again. So looks like it's got multiple layers to it. So I think if we design it from the back first, because this will show us the most complex of all the edges and all the ins and outs that it has to go through. And we have to take into account that so we'll start at the back and work our way forwards. Okay? Again, let me make sure I can see and you guys can see. Okay, perfect. So, starting with the back, let's go to our main body. On this layer, I'm going to create a plane, and I actually want the rear view for once. So let's go back view, okay. And the back view is not centered again. That's okay. Bring up our reference and rear. There we are. Center. There we are. Much nicer. Yes, Polar. Yes, this is going to be for a game called INT. If you look in the bottom, I'm trying to point with my hands. Sorry. Look in the bottom right around here. This is for a company called Starboard Games, and Starboard is creating a game called INT. And we're on the IMDb page, and we've been rated fairly high. It's a science fiction game, so lots of cool sci-fi stuff, and we have a huge team and amazing work going into this. And so I am the lead modeler, so I create most of the weapons, environments, some of the other pickup items in the game. So I've been working on that quite frequently. I have I showed this a bit earlier. Let's see. Some of my previous work for these guys has been a lot of fun. So here's a finished model that was created off of concept art from the same same concept artist. So this is the gun, and then here's how the gun turned out with, this is all rendered in 3Do, so it's part of the Quixel suite. So I used NDo and DDo to do, I did DDo for the diffuse textures, NDo, all these screws and rivets and all the panel lines were all done in NDo, and then rendered in 3Do, so you have the nice lighting and everything. And so here was the concept art that he gave me, and this was our final product. So I do not suspect that this will be any different. Okay, so what we need to do here is we do need to hide the first bit of mech so that we can see the back of the next piece of mech. So we're going to create a plan, try to get in the modeling scene for space engineers. Oh yeah, definitely. That game is so much fun. Oh, so much fun. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. If there's anything you have questions for about, most of the modeling techniques I'm showing are general techniques that you can apply to any modeling package. So if you have any questions or anything you want to know how to handle a particular shape, let me know, and I'll be definitely happy to help as best I can. And you can use that to create some cool stuff for space engineers. Most certainly. All right, so using the two references in tandem, what I have in front of me and what I have over to the side here, I'm going to try and create a template for the back, and we can build as we move forward. So this that we see here is the piece that we just created. So we know roughly kind of where that is spatially in the sides here. Let's go ahead and create a plane. And I'm going to move this plane all the way to the back, beyond the actual thing, but just inside the reference. And let's apply all of our stuff to it. So let's apply this, move that down way far. Shaded, selected edges, perfect. Black wireframes. And this is going to be our part of the main body, and this is going to be the reload mechanics and all that. So I'm going to call this reload main. It'll be the main piece, and then the other reload piece will come off of that. Okay. Call this reload main. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime anybody has anything, question, anything I can help, I'm certainly happy to help. Editable poly. Okay, so reload main. We know that these 2 points obviously are going to be centered. There we are. Now, working outwardly from that, we'll go to here with that, and it looks like it comes up, but the problem is it comes up. Yeah, I see it. There it is. So it comes up to here. We're going to start with that, and there's a part where it goes forward and edges up. So the technical thing actually goes to this height, but we're going to start with here, and you'll see why in just a few moments. So let's connect, get some of our edges going with this. All right, let me see if I can, just a moment. I realize that we've been playing the background music that I got for you guys, just trying to create some sort of background. So let me try and get something a little different for you all. I gotta hear it for a second. Yeah, something a little different for you guys. Make sure I'm not boring you to tears with that. There we go. I just happened to hear it, and I wanted to make sure you guys were happy with it. Okay, so this goes down to right about here. It does sort of bend over as we go forward. And now this goes across, and then the batteries are going to take over. So that's good for right there. Let's do this. Make sure the music's not too loud either for you guys. Let me know if the music is too loud, or if you guys have trouble with it, let me know. Alright, so let's scan all this together. And now what I'm going to do is make sure I move these to line up at this point, because at this point we can go forward still. And it'll make sense in just a moment. This is a very complex shape. So we'll come up to that point there. And that is curve up and inward. Oh, that's quite complex. Okay, we'll go to there, and then we'll go all the way to there. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're making sure that from the side, from the back profile rather, we have the most complex shape. Then we move forward one stage at a time and create the other insets as we move forward. So you'll see in just a second we're almost there. Okay, so that's excellent there. Ah, okay, excellent. So I'm going to take this and we need to change the pivot, because what I'm going to do here is actually mirror it over this way. No clone. There we go. It'll be easier to work with on this half. Oh, that's right, the back. We haven't touched the back yet. I was wondering why it looked a little off, and it's because of this. Oh, no. Very odd. Okay. I wanted to mirror, but I guess we won't have to be able to. Alright, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to take our edges here, and these three are fine because these go pretty much the whole distance without issue. It's once we get to these guys that we have some different opinions. So let's extrude this out just a little bit, and now we can start affixing it to the actual shape. So these guys go to there, no problem. And here's where it gets really complex. Let's actually get rid of these for a second. We still need to move some of these points into place. So these guys, that's just the top three. They curve inward slightly. See, right there. And this guy goes all the way to there. But this seems wrong based upon, I'm going to follow the back for now, because we need to follow the back to get the most complex, and we'll work our way up. Alright, so that's working very nicely. And let's go forward with these two here. Now you'll notice as we move forward, we discover areas that we need new edges. So we need edges right there to support that shape. That's excellent. That can move forward. Now before we go too much more forward, we need to take this into account. You'll notice here I purposely made this line here, because now when I move this out, if I follow my concept art, this is going to go all the way to here. And then this is going to come up this angle. And these points need to line up. So here on the Z, we'll copy that. And this, we'll paste that. There we go. So now those 2 points line up. So now if I take this and do a bridge, you'll see that they've combined. And now that's what we wanted. Now with that combined, the next stage up just kind of continues for a while. So we should be good to take this and move him all the way out. And I'm going to target weld you to you. I'm going to get your Y position. And I put you on there. Bang. And there we are. Now we can bring you over the same distance. Y position of the same. And bridge those together. There we are. That's looking quite nice. Let's continue. So I know that this is clear to continue all the way to the end, in fact. So we'll bring you all the way to the end. Into that shape, right about there. That works. But his fellow piece only comes to here. So that tells us that if we take this and connect, then we need to make an adjustment for him. So, no problem. That's the Y value that we use. Okay. Excellent. So very complex shape, so we're building it in stages. All right. Okay, so what I'm looking at in my concept art is that right here there's an indentation. It's a fairly large indentation in this shape, so that's what we're trying to accommodate. So it looks like, whoa, whoa, oh, wrong one, that might be why, there we are. So it looks like if I bring that all the way over, this is the very top of that indentation. And this does, this does indeed go all the way to the end. So we take these and we can scale this out. Scale that over, there we are. So let's get this value right there. Oh no, sorry, that value is incorrect. It goes to right there. Okay. So we're getting our complex shape rather easily without too much hassle. So let's bridge that. Let's bridge that. Oops, again, selected the wrong thing. There we are. Excellent. Let's take a look at how we're doing. If we bring this all the way up, take a look at our shape. Shape is looking very nice. We have our curve going on. We have all the right shapes. So I like it. Let's bring this down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so from this side, we need to have this this going on, but this has to continue. So that's fine. And that guy goes all the way to the end as well. Okay. Okay. That works nicely. Now this shape, I'm looking at the concept and making sure that this shape, we have an indent here. And the indent is rather sudden. I think I understand it. The indent appears to move about that much. So both these need to match up. So let's take this guy and bring him in as well. And here's a great opportunity for copying and pasting values. So we get a bridge together. We'll bridge these two together. And there we are. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Now, oddly, this seems to continue, so I'm going to continue that. Select this, take our Y value, apply it to just that piece. I can weld up the differential. So now we're going to have to see how this connects to our other piece that we already made so that we know how far this is supposed to go. Let's bring this up. Looking good. So let's unhide the neck, make sure it's connecting up. Yep, it's connecting up quite well. It looks like this maybe all needs to come down just a little bit. So that's no problem. Select all this, all this, all this, all this. Let's move that down just a little bit. There we are. And all this actually needs to go up just a little bit so that it can line up with or get buried in the top there. Just out of sight, which is awesome. And that can go until it buries itself in there. So now with those two pieces complete, this top part, yeah, this top part goes straight across. So he'll go all the way to the end, but we need to make our little pit stop here. So let's what is your Y value? Okay. Alright, so now we can start to see how that connects in there. Excellent. Alright, let's throw symmetry on this to take a look at it. Symmetry is zeroed. Excellent. Flip. Very minor. Slice along there. That's looking really cool. Okay, so I'm going to take another quick break, guys, just to kind of stretch a minute, get another drink, and we'll finish off the top of this, and then we'll start to build some of these other pieces. We've only got 40 minutes left in the stream as it's planned. Might go longer if I get it, get the rest of it finished. We're getting pretty close, so I'll leave you with a quick demonstration of what it looks like, what we've got so far. Let's get all of that, all of it showing. I believe it's all showing. Yes. Take a quick look. Yeah, there we go. Getting some of the heavy firepower done now. So let's take a look at how it looks from below. All the mechanics in there. Let me actually change the environment color to be much darker so it's easier for you guys to see it. There we are. That's looking really nice so far. Got the coil in there, looking good. And one more will be going down the gun. Excellent. Okay. So I'll be right back, guys. We're going to take a short break. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that, definitely I'm open to it. Let me know. Be happy to help, happy to explain. So I will be right back and see you guys in a short bit. All right, folks. Thank you for bearing with me there. I am back. We're going to continue. Let's check all of our messages. I appreciate all the interest this evening, as always. All right. Okay, so we're back, and let's continue with our epic gun here. We just have to close off the top here, it looks like. Should be okay with that. Yeah, okay, perfect. So smooth as well, one there, and one over there. Pardon me. On the y-axis, we're going to copy. Oh, pardon me. So if you guys didn't know, you can copy and paste values, and it's super helpful. So helps you move right along rather quickly. And we need to get rid of other stuff so we can see what we're doing. Handlebar. Okay, rotation mechanism. There, okay. So we want to go all the way to here. Awesome. Okay. Oh, now we need to close off the bottom as well. Let's look at the bottom carefully though, because we want to make sure that we've got that. We do have one inset that we still need to do on the bottom. So if I look at that carefully, yes. So let's take care of that. This inset is not very big, so maybe something like that. We'll exaggerate that a little bit just to kind of catch some of the light a little bit better. You'll notice what that does to the bottom here, so we need to work that out. And I did see that it does kind of roll over the edge here, so I'm going to work that out right now. There we are. Chamfer, not nearly that much. Just something small like that. So we have some extra points here that we need to work out what's going to happen with those. But that is good for that. And I think this is going to just fold in and under because we have another piece that's going to come in here. So we'll just kind of leave room for it, so to speak. And I think that'll be okay. Go ahead and cut across. Cut across. Move along the edge. Let's do that. That's good. And you can connect up to that, so that's good. Try to just solve my edges, make sure everything works out rather nicely. Slide that along. Solve that. And we will solve that I key. Oh, we gotta cut it. Cut and weld. Sometimes because the points are physically on top of one another but they're not actually connected, so you have to do it that way. So that works. Excellent. And now we will flush out the bottom, but we got some pieces that are going to stick out of here, so we can get away with a little bit of slop, but I want to be a little cleaner than that, so we're going to cut it. I can find a place for this to connect up to, so that won't be a problem. You can just come up and give us a little extra fidelity at the top. We can go right along those edges. Pretty much right there. There we are. Excellent. So that shape is done. So bring up the symmetry, there we go. Both sides looking nice. We're gonna have a piece that comes out of the bottom still. So that's what this gap is here. And then the battery actually just kind of sticks in the back here. So we're gonna do the battery next, that'll be pretty easy. And then we'll do the bottom piece that will connect everything up, and then just have a few pieces up top. All right, so let's keep it rolling. Rotation back, we can bring that in as well so we can see that. Oh, see, we have to. Always check how your pieces are aligning with others to make sure this has to go all the way in. There. Very good. That's a really cool shape. I would not have thought to model a shape like that, so I'm glad that the concept artist did. Alright, so let's make our battery. So our main body, I'm going to create a new layer. Battery. And on battery, this is a pretty easy shape, so we'll do it from the side view here, from the front. Oh, back, but you know what I mean. We'll create a battery box. Move it towards the back. So this has a little bit of a depth to it. So let me hide the other pieces so we can see through it pretty well. And it also has it's two pieces and there's a connection in the middle, so I'm gonna work off of that. Editable poly. Oh, when am I gonna put support edges with Turbo Smooth? Well, right now I'm just doing the block out / low polys when I create from it, and then with Turbo Smooth. I showed an example of what I would do for the whole process earlier with the coils. I can go back to that and show you. But normally I would do this whole process and then go through and add all my support edges and fix anything I need there, save off an instance of that as my high poly, go back and remove all of these edges or uncheck the things, call that my low poly, unwrap it, add a cage, and then bake the two together. But yeah, this is just kind of the low poly block out phase of it. There we are. Okay. It's pretty much a simple box, but it has several iterations to it. So what we're going to do here is first get the overall shape, and then we will make the iterations. So starting with the top one here, we're going to chamfer. And it's not that much of a chamfer actually. It's even that's a little much. It's really not too much at all. Something like that is good. Now the bottom chamfer is going to be quite a bit more prominent. Let's bring it up. There's something in that range, but then we're still going to need to edit it. So if I take this and bring it up just a little bit, something more like that. That's more like what it looks like. Okay. And if we take our side edges here and move it over. So we can move it over and make sure it's correct. There we are. Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. I want to make sure I have the overall shape solid before I worry even about adding in support edges to something that might change drastically in size before we do that. But you are correct. You are absolutely correct. Alright, so these look like there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and the outer two are thicker than the middle two. So we're going to make 4, and then we'll affect them. So there are 4, and then they have spaces in between them. So that should be good there. And then we're going to chamfer. I just noticed that I'm watching the stream for 3 hours. Well, thank you for sticking with me for so long. I appreciate that very much. I'm honestly, I'm new to streaming live. I do a lot of videos where I pre-record ahead of time, but I just want to share. Oh, well, thank you. You as well. I just want to share, what I know and I learn from people too, because I make mistakes, and by mistakes we learn and we get better. So that's my whole shtick with the pilgrimage. Pilgrimage is a long journey, and that's the idea, is that we're all journeying towards becoming better artists. So as we, do this together, if you have tips, please share. I'm sharing what I know, and, if I'm wrong, tell me, and then we'll all get better. So thank you very much for sticking with us for so long. All right, so we have these 4, and we need to make some indentations to them. So let's go ahead and do that. Wish I could just do that, but you can't. Physics doesn't work that way. There we are. So that's good. And we will extrude local normal down and in a bit. We don't want to go too far. It's probably good right there. Now the whole thing is kind of flat on the back, and I think I'm going to make up something so that this could actually be, the battery could be pulled out and put back in. So that wasn't provided in the original concept, so that's where we have to kind of step in. And that's fine. It's not, not to say that it wasn't provided, how dare he. No, it wasn't something that he, drew or was told he needed to draw perhaps, so we will step in and take care of that. Alright, so I do know that I want this to continue. I think what we're going to do here is, let's do this. I'm going to delete these, okay? And what we're going to do is get the Y value of this. Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm trying to find my style, I think that it's better if I explain everything, and people can always go, yeah, I know, and rather than not explaining something and then go, well, how did you get to that stage? Because mine doesn't look like yours, So let's paste that value in. Now we're going to have to clean this up a little bit, but now we have a flat surface here, which we could technically take all of this, and if we extrude in the correct direction, now we start to get something that looks like it could be a battery type shape when you combine the two together. So try to think of how big this would be. Let's go out to something like that, and that'll work. Okay. So we're still going to need to clean this up, but that's looking pretty good. Now before we go too much further, let's make the size changes that we needed to make. So from the back here, the middle two were thinner. So I'm going to select this, and on the x-axis, I would love to do this by one direction. Here we go. On the x-axis, I'm going to make this 85%. Let's make it straight up like 50% what it used to be. There we go. And I'm going to select these as well. And the reason I do these one at a time is because if I do them together, it will take the total width and reduce it, and it doesn't give me the exact same effect. Now, a little bit of nudging here. We're going to just take this, move this in just a little bit. Take this one, move it in just a little bit, and I'm trying to look for sort of equidistant, and that's pretty close. Okay, so now it's a subtle thing, but it's a nice little effect that the two outer ones are thicker than the middle one. So, and I think I know of a pretty easy way that we can fix all of this, and so we'll do that in a moment. Excuse me. And I think we're pretty much there for the fixing, so it shouldn't be a problem. I'm going to select this edge and this edge. And I'm going to make a connect of 2, and we're going to pinch it apart, and I want to get it up pretty high, somewhere around that range is pretty good. Yes. Now what I can do is from here to here, I can do a connect, or I can't. Oh no, I can't because they're individual faces. Gotcha. So I have to do this, sorry. Individual faces, and now we're trying to combine them together. See, if I move this face, that's the problem. It's because there's a face in here. Okay. So, no problem. We'll just delete these for now. It'll be very easy to recreate because we have the outer shapes to them. So delete those for now. And what that will allow me to do is connect this up. Making a liar out of me. What am I missing? Oh, the interfaces. Okay. This face needs to go away. See, we can't see it from out here, but it's there. I can select faces that I can't see by clicking enough times. It will scroll through all the possible options of all the overlaying faces. Same thing with vertices. If I were to technically do this, and just as an example, so I have 2 vertices in the exact same spot. If I select one, you'll notice it says vertex 117. If I continue to click in the same spot, vertex 102. So it tells me there are 2 vertices in that same space. Sorry, that sounded weird. So then I know that's what the issue is there. Okay, so connecting those up, no problem. I should be able to now connect these up. Yeah, like I said, I make mistakes as well. Nope, negative. Nope. Okay, what's your deal? Connect. Okay. So let's examine what's going on. We're having an issue here. Oh, that face is still there. Okay. There we go. I thought that was quite odd. So now I understand why that won't work. And now if we cut. Oh, goodness. It just doesn't like me tonight. There we are. Connect and weld up. Fortunately, we like to do this on 1/2 because of the way we pre-planned our shape. There we are. So you can select those edges by selecting up here, and it selects the whole thing. Because 2 edges are on the same edge, it's hard to figure out which one is which. So we use some little tricks to get to it. No worries. Okay. Now I'm going to pull the same trick here to get this. So target weld up. No. Target weld up here. And what was the height on this? See, I love that trick. Just go, what was the height? Let me copy it. Alright, so that's looking nice. Now, because we know it's such an incredible pain to do this, we don't really want to do it to the bottom too. I'm going to select everything and make a... We're going to mirror it and then just change the slope of the thing that we want. Okay. delete all that. Only do it once. Work smarter, not harder. As often as possible. So we'll do that across. And now let's cut across from here. Get my cut tool out. There we are. Now we can clean up the interior here. Yes. Okay. Oh, red rig or oh, okay, excellent. Thank you for joining. I was gonna say I also do what I call art jams, sort of like a hangout, like a group study session every time we're working. So if you just want to hang out in like a Google Hangout or a Skype call while we work anytime, depending on what your time zone is and what your availability is, I'm open to that as well. So thanks for joining me. Thank you so much for sticking around for so long. I'm glad you had a good time. Absolutely. All right, so that's all cleaned up now. And what we're going to do is mirror that across the bottom. So symmetry. And we're going to affect the position of our mirror, which is actually in a pretty good position right now. But there we go, that's what we want. There we are. Now we can affect just the bottom verts here. So if I add another edit poly on top of this, it will keep the symmetry, and then it will act on our behalf to change the angle. So that's what. Let me get all of the. Excellent, excellent. So we're almost there. This piece is coming quite into fruition. Let's go ahead and name it because we forgot to do that. Call this battery, and we will give it the we'll give it the lighter color. There we are. Okay, so this has the back section, and the reason I did the back section is because we might need to take it out at some point. Maybe you're shooting, and you rip out the battery and toss it, so it needs to have this face that we could potentially put some detail on, maybe in texturing later on. So that works out nicely. Let's go here and throw another symmetry on here. And this time we want to move the mirror over right there, and just flip it. So the battery is this dual piece here, and I'm going to put a connecting bar in between them to kind of seize the whole thing up. Seems to make more sense to me. To make this a little easier, I'm going to unhide the reload main section so I can see where this whole thing would go, and so now I can put the bar in there nicely. So there we go. Okay. So let's add a that mirrors it over. Paint poly. Let's go ahead and take from this. I'm going to detach as a clone. Yep. Sounds good. Take this, and I only really need the one face. It's just going to be a pretty simple shape. Something like that. Move the 2 points across and move it back a little bit. There we are. Screwed. Very little, we don't really need to go that far. Okay. Delete. First, before we delete it, move it to the correct axis that we want. And let's just give it a little chamfer, just a little bit of a little bit of design to it. There we go. Just a little something to kind of add a little zest. And if we go back down to here, it's at this point that we will attach that, so that now when we symmetry, we have it in there. So now this object all by itself looks pretty good. Actually going to this face and move it more central like that. So here's what our battery looks like for this weapon. Isolate. There we go. Okay. Let's have a look at how we're doing here. Trigger, rotation, handlebar, and yeah, rotation back. I feel like we're missing something. No? So there we go. Look at that, guys. Oh, we're almost there. I don't know if we'll make the whole thing tonight. I would love to. I really would, but it's already been a very long day, and I don't want to ignore my wife too long. I want to make sure I spread my time evenly as much as I can. But we have made some amazing stuff tonight, and yeah, it's looking really good. I think the next part of the stream, what we probably do is finish up modeling the weapon, and we will move into the high poly for it, get everything unwrapped and exported, and then we'll go into some physically based texturing, do some PBR stuff as well as some substance work, and I think we'll make some great progress with that, and it won't be long at all before this thing is, you know, tearing enemies up in game. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I want to thank you guys for joining me this evening. I apologize that, you know, we didn't get all the way there, but we did. We struggled, we learned, we grew, and that's what's most important. And thank you to everyone who came out and watched tonight live. I saw we were up to 8 or 10 people at one point, and appreciate that everybody took some time to come take a look and have a listen. Again, you know, I'm open to feedback, guys. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like, what you want to see more of. And thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you had a great time. And keep practicing, get better, and continue with your own polygon pilgrimage. It's kind of my deal. And I hope you had a lot of fun. I really do. And so thank you again. And I'm going to sign off now and go get some rest. You guys do as well. And show me the cool stuff that you make, okay? And I'll see you all next time. Thank you.